Alright, so this is going to be a review for High School of the Dead, an anime which I picked up a couple of weeks ago, and I just finished watching. This anime is one of the first animes that I picked up in a while, which had nothing to do with Full Metal Alchemist. And I thought that it was a damn good one. It's not a great anime by any standards, but it certainly does have some good moments. Originally, I had no prior knowledge of this whatsoever, and had just assumed that it was going to be high school students obviously fighting a bunch of zombies, and it was just going to be a lot of big dumb fun, kind of in the way that Fooly Cooly was, but it actually surprised me that it gave a lot of depth to its characters, unlike what Fooly Cooly did. Now, while I say this, the show is also my first exposure to any kind of hentai. I know what hentai is, I just never really got into it that much. I actually prefer real naked women. But I could put up with some of the humor that they had done in here. Barring a lot of the gore and the tits and the ass shots, which are, a lot of the major comic relief, the show is really good. And there's some good character stuff that takes place in here. As far as great character stuff, not really. Out of the 6 main characters that they focus on, I really like 3 of them. And of those 3 good characters, I consider 2 of them great. Takashi is not one of them. As far as a lot of the character development that they do throughout the series, Takashi his character development is, he's the leader of the group, or sort of the unofficial leader, and the character development that he goes through is basically typical first season stuff. I was kind of disappointed that this was only just 12 episodes, but then come to find out, I've seen rumors that there might be a second series made to this to kind of pick back up. I'm assuming mostly because the manga, or the animation when it was adapted, had caught up to what was going on in the manga, and they just had to kind of have a stopping point for it. So this feels like a first season, and there's nothing else after it in the anime. But Takashi is a good character. Kota and Psycho are the other 2 good characters in here to me. Kota, just because he's he's really funny, because he shifts in between this complete and utter dork, and then he turns into this gun-toting mad raging motherfucker, and that's hilarious to me for some reason. And Psycho, who I think has the best character development, especially concerning her backstory, which she divulges to Takashi in that there was one point that, she's really good with that Bakken that she uses, and there's kind of a backstory that explains about her being attacked by a rapist and standing up for herself, and she kind of winds up finding herself becoming much more adapted to the situation, because she can let out a beast that had been put inside of her, but she had to restrain due to a normal life. And I thought that was really good. The other 3 characters with the group being Rei, who is Takashi's girlfriend, Saya, and Shizuka. Shizuka contributes nothing to the group besides being comic relief, and occasionally when she's called in as a doctor. She's a total ditz, and that's pretty much her point. Saya is a know-it-all, and I just don't care for her, and I care even less for Rei, who seems to be Takashi's main love interest in the story. She is kind of like if I had to equate, I'll compare this show to the Batman Begins movie, and when I use that comparison, I compare Rei to Rachel Dawes when she was played by Katie Holmes. She's not really that interesting of a character to me, and even the backstory that they give on her for why she hates a particular teacher who becomes a dangerous threat to the group in the latter half of the anime. It is kind of a sad story, but it just wasn't really that interesting to me. So yeah, that's a lot of the stuff going on with the characters, and then we get this. We also get the addition of two other characters, a young girl named Alice and a dog named Zero, who come into the group, and they're pretty funny in their own regards. As far as the zombie situation itself, I kind of hate that whoever wrote this anime decided to take the lazy way out with the zombies. While I am a great lover of zombie movies, unfortunately a lot of them don't bother providing an explanation for why things, or for whatever it was that caused the outbreak. They do explain how the zombies work, and if you get bitten you become one of them and all that, but there's really no explanation. It just seemingly comes up out of nowhere, which is something that I've seen with a lot of zombie shows, or not a lot of zombie shows, but a lot of zombie movies and franchises, and it's just something that really bugs me. Which is kind of why I can stand the Resident Evil stories. Say what you want to about those movies, but they at least provide an explanation for what happens, much the same way that the 28 Days stories do, even though those technically are not zombies to me. So that was funny. That was kind of annoying to me. Other regards as to what they do with the outbreak, besides like they show the way that people function in chaotic situations, or at least like or massively tragic situations, is really good. And I also like in the regards that what they do, showing how a lot of the governments handle it. Particularly, they focus on the United States. The first half, or I'm going to say the majority of this anime, where they focus on points that are not taking place within the city that these characters dwell, deals mostly with the United States cabinet. And this is one of the first animes I've also seen which they break off from focusing on Japan and focus on another country, which is kind of interesting, and even such to a point to where they show that like governments usually have like massive control plans for everything. Here, even the governments of the world are unable to contain and deal with the situation, so this is basically just a massive problem for everybody, which is kind of an interesting aspect. Overall, the show is good to me, and it does have some really startlingly good character moments in here. At least for the characters that I do like. And some of the situations that they come up with around the zombie outbreak itself are pretty funny. Particularly when they go to rescue the little girl with the group. And Takashi winds up picking her and the dog up, and they're in this really precarious situation because they're on a wall, and there are zombies on both sides of him, and he's having to walk on top of the wall to get around the zombies. And these are like typical intense situations which come up, which are pretty funny to me. But overall, yeah, I've kind of lamed around with this review a little bit, but overall the show is good to me. I would recommend checking this out, and if the rumors are true about them making an addition to this, I would really like to see it sometime in the future, because, as I did address, this is one downside with the season, is that it does feel like it feels like a first season that got cut off, and then you just have like a typical ending to where the characters have to move on with this new world that they're in. But yeah, overall, I do recommend this series.